What is going on, y'all? This is Pay Me in Dividends, and it is November 27th, 2024. And we're just going to look at my portfolio very quickly. So I am sitting at $82,230 in the portfolio. Now, if you checked out my last video that I dropped about 10 days ago, I was at $73,000, right? And now, about 10 days later, I'm at $82,230. Now, I did not add any of my own money into this. This was all because MSTY went up crazy in share price. Now, since then, it has pulled back a bit. This price right here is not actually accurate. It's actually at trading at $34.05 at the time of this recording on November 27th. But this is just a free tracker that I like to use. So it gives you a ballpark range of where you're at. So real quick, we'll go over my portfolio. I have 1,000 shares of MSTY and 1,000 shares of AIPI. I actually added over 200 shares of AIPI. If you look at my previous video, you'll see I have about 735 shares, I believe, 735 or 750. So I added over 200 shares and topped it off to 1,000 shares. That was my goal. My goal was to get AIPI to 1,000 shares because it is a very stable income ETF. The monthly income is very predictable, and so I call it my anchor. It just anchors the portfolio and smooths it out a bit because we all know that MSTY, which is based off of MicroStrategy, can be very volatile, but it can be very rewarding as well because it pays huge dividends. So what I want to cover today is the dividends that I've actually been paid out in the month of November. So if we see here, I got paid $3,094 by MSTY. Now notice here, right? This was based off of 700 shares, but I have 1,000 shares. So why is that? Well, what happened is MSTY ran up over if we look at the 1 month chart, right? So if we look at the 1 month chart, MSTY ran all the way up to about $44 last week Wednesday, $44.40, right? And so the announcement date for the dividend was on the 20th, right? The declaration date. They paid $4.42 per share, and it was announced on November 20th. Now, remember, the following day on the ex-dividend date is when those dividends are extracted from the share price. So we can see on Wednesday, the dividend was announced. It was trading at about $44. And the following day, which was that Thursday, right? The following day from the 20th to the 21st, we can see that first of all, Bitcoin had dropped in price. There was a small pullback, so that caused MSTY to pull back a bit, but also that $4 dividend was extracted from the share price. So what did I do? I sold about 300 shares of MSTY on that Wednesday in order to take some profit off of the table because I knew the following day the share price would drop naturally because of the extraction of the dividend that would ultimately be paid out that Friday on the 22nd. So I sold 300 shares, which got me to 700 shares. I was paid $3,094 for those 700 shares. And then Monday of this week, November 25th, is when I bought back in 300 more shares of MSTY once the share price went back down. Now, I probably will not do that again. I will probably just go ahead and hold on to MSTY, these 1,000 shares, and not trade it anymore. I just had a gut feeling that Bitcoin would pull back. I knew the dividend was going to decrease the price, but Bitcoin had just been going up so much that I knew that we were going to get a pullback, and I had profited so much off of MSTY at that point because my cost basis was about $30 a share. and it had ran up to almost $45 a share. So I told myself, let me go ahead and take some profit off of the table. Let me wait for the share price to dip back down after the extraction of the dividend and after the small pullback on Bitcoin, and then I'll buy back in and get back to 1,000 shares. So that was pretty much what I did the past 10 days since making the last video. And as you can see, total for the month of November, I was paid $4,604 in dividends. So if we go over here to AIPI, we can see that AIPI paid $1.51 a share in distributions. And if you look at their previous dividend payouts, they've they've been very, very consistent. 148, 146, 148, 147, 151. November has actually been their highest paying month. But if you look at the variation here, it's not really off by much, right? So this is an ETF that is very stable. The share price does not move too much. And this would be an ETF that I would really look into. I've talked about this briefly in other videos, but this is a very, very good ETF, AIPI. You also have the other one, FEPI, FEPI. We can take a quick look at this as well. They paid $1.09 a share, and you can see that their monthly dividends are very consistent as well. They always pay over $1, and they have been very consistent since November of 2023. So FEPI actually pays a 25% dividend yield, and AIPI pays a 34% dividend yield. So those are the dividends that I received this month, AIPI and MSTY. Now, let's take a look at Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is up about 3% today. MicroStrategy is up about 10% today, and MSTY is up about 7% today. So as we can see, there's still a very strong correlation between Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, and MSTY. MicroStrategy owns a lot of Bitcoin, and so they are almost kind of like a proxy to Bitcoin in a sense. And so if you own MicroStrategy stock, the price sort of fluctuates at the same in correlation with Bitcoin. And so if you own MSTY, you're able to get paid very, very big dividends because of that volatility in the stock. So MSTY, if you're going to invest into it, just know that there's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. It will be a roller coaster ride, but the dividends will be worth it, in my opinion. And the stock itself has been profitable since inception. As you can see here, it is in the green. It's up 56% all time. It's up 59% year to date, 60% now. And today it is up 7%. And so that is basically all I wanted to talk about in this video. I really just wanted to cover the dividends that I've received in November. I do want to make a video soon about my approach going into 2025. I have a couple exciting things I want to talk about as far as new ETFs that I want to add to my portfolio now that I've reached 1,000 shares in AIPI and MSTY. I don't plan on adding any more to either of these. I want to just let these sit in the portfolio and continue collecting those dividends and taking those dividends and beginning to start new positions. And so that is it for today on the video. Oh, and actually one more thing I want to show you guys, right? So Michael Saylor was on PBD podcast. This is a channel, Passive Income Investing. I watch this guy all the time. He has really, really good information. And he actually pointed out how Michael Saylor mentioned MSTY on the PBD podcast, which I think is pretty big because YieldMax is a very, very new fund. It is a very, very new fund manager. Their ETFs are still very, very new compared to more established ETFs like ProShares and BlackRock and things like that. And so I thought it was interesting that he mentioned MSTY. If you guys want to check out the full interview, you can. But I will play a quick clip just so you guys can see uh, what exactly he said. I thought it was pretty interesting. And again, I just think it's big for Yield Max for such a uh, mention on such a big podcast. So I'll play a quick clip and here we go.
Utility. And so the convertible arbitrage guys, let me say it a different way. If you have 100 vol, you can generate 100% interest just by selling
Yield.
the upside. Like, so people, there are
He's literally talking about covered call strategy, selling the upside, right? Covered calls.
funds like MSTY. All they do is just sell the calls. They just sell the volatility and they generate like 180% dividend yield.
That's true.
So who loans us the money? People that want that volatility.
So there you go. He mentioned MSTY and he said they make about 180% dividend yield. And here you can see on YieldMax website, MSTY does indeed generate a huge 180% dividend yield. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty interesting. I think that may bring some more investors and some more liquidity into the fund. We'll see. It already has a huge market cap. I believe it's like over a bill, yeah, 1.4 billion in net assets. So there's already a lot of money in this fund. And I just think it's good for the fund, right? Because more liquidity, more investors, it's a bit more volume in there, and hopefully that can keep the price not only stable but keep it going up in the positive and keep generating those big dividends. So that is it for this video. I appreciate you guys checking me out again. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know what your favorite dividend stock is. Ideally a high yield stock. Let me know what your favorite high yield dividend ETF is in the comments, and I will check y'all out in the next video.